Alright, before I start ripping into this execrable film, can I state that I, for one, am sick of Kevin James? I can see him as possibly funny in stand up, but his film presence just has gotten overused and unpleasant. He seems to always play the same role he pioneered in King of Queens: fat loser who, through the machinations of fate, has somehow managed to land one or more stunningly hot women. I'm not sure what dimension this is viable in, but for those of us who remain firmly ensconced in this reality, it's actually a really annoying insult. I don't consider myself fat or a loser, and I can't pull that kind of action on my best day. I'm stuck in the bizarre world version wherein I get rejected constantly by the hot girls and seem to always end up with the female Kevin James. Unfortunately, he seems patently unqualified for any other type of role. I mean, really, could you see him as a villain or in a serious role? And so it looks like we'll be inundated by in future moronic rom-coms like this. More rom-coms? Okay, cool. Which brings us to The Zookeeper. Kevin James stars as a fat loser who works as a zookeeper and, for some ungodly reason, dates the stunning Leslie Bibb. Her character, Stephanie, is in all regards a one-dimensional, self-centered, shallow bitch who rejects the most awkward marriage proposal of all time simply because he works as a zookeeper. Apparently, his lack of fitness and or financial status are not really a concern. Anyway, she crushes him in a manner so cruel it is likely banned by Geneva Convention. Fast forward 5 years, and he is now the lead zookeeper who works with an even more stunning Rosario Dawson, who is an eagle enclosure expert. Does that seem a little specific to anyone else? I mean, how many jobs are there for a person with that specialty? Anyway, she's the vet with the heart of gold. Spoiler alert, in a plot twist, so cookie cutter I could smell ginger, she turns out to be the girl he should have been with the whole time and ends the movie with. I normally would hesitate to give away something that crucial to the story, but within the first 30 seconds of her being on the screen, I said, yep, she's the one he'll end up with. So, unless you're an idiot, you probably saw that coming as well. By the way, I'd like to point out that I'm totally into Rosario Dawson. She is super hot and can actually act. What she can't do is find a movie script that doesn't suck. Before doing The Zookeeper, she has starred in any amount of crud. Her best movie to date, in my opinion, would have to be Unstoppable. She was in Death Proof, but as much of a fan of grindhouse theater as I am, I don't really see it as a vehicle for advancing your acting career. Percy Jackson sucked, as did Sin City, Clerks 2, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, Josie and the Pussycats, Killshot, Eagle Eye, and 7 Pounds. When she was younger, she did Kids, which is a good movie in the, looking for something to watch while killing yourself category, but other than that, she needs to find a new agent. Anyway, the guy states that he should leave working for the zoo in order to get a job that better appeals to the most shallow woman on the planet. We also start getting subjected to some truly painful and hard to watch physical comedy. At that point, we find out that the animals can not only understand everything the humans are saying, but can speak perfect English when they want to. They decide they need to help Kevin mate with Stephanie and end up giving some really dopey advice with dialogue so cliche and hackneyed that it made me wish that the animals could only speak in their native barks and roars, and the humans as well. So romantic animal hijinks ensues. Kevin James urinates into a potted plant at a fancy restaurant to mark his territory and doesn't get arrested. He more or less ruins his brother's wedding and physically assaults the bride. He ends up toe-to-toe with another ex-boyfriend of Stephanie, played horribly by Joe Rogan. I've seen Joe do some funny stuff, but the combination of his stiff delivery and the flaccid, depthless character he was handed made every scene with him in it feel like waiting online at the DMV. Kevin's character does a Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3 transformation into a suave, sophisticated urbanite who sells exotic cars to the thousands of millionaires who reside in his city. Stephanie plays the shallow, culturalist girlfriend to the hilt. Somehow Ken Jeong manages to land a role as a creepy reptile guy. Is he going to have a bit part in every movie? I mean, the guy from The Hangover. Anyway, eventually Kevin discovers that he really loves Rosario Dawson, but apparently forgets how to use his cell phone because the only way to intercept her on the way to her new job in Nairobi, no joke, apparently they need an eagle cage expert there too, is a hilarious chase sequence in a stolen van. Okay, first the stars. The animation of the animals is as good as you're likely to see. 1 star. There were a few funny moments. I did laugh out loud a couple of times. 1 star. Rosario Dawson was looking hot throughout the movie, and when she dresses up, super hot. 1 star. While the animal dialogue sucked, there were a couple of voices that made me laugh. Adam Sandler and Sylvester Stallone for the most part. 1 star. For the extremely brief amount of time that he was on the screen, Ken Jeong managed to amuse me and more or less steal every scene he was in. Actually, he also had a really cool car, so 1 star. There was one scene where Kevin James takes a gorilla out to TGI Fridays. That's actually fun to watch, mainly because it's Kevin James cutting loose with a guy in a gorilla suit. 1 star. Total, 6 stars. Now, like a tiger that has taken down an antelope and is ready to dig into the succulent entrails, I move to the black holes. The animal dialogue was as bad as human language could get. 2 black holes. Painful to watch physical humor. 1 black hole. For some reason, the director of photography seemed to feel that Kevin James's moon face was the most appealing thing in the movie, and thus we are subjected to a lot of it. Also, at one point, we see him naked in a bathtub. 1 black hole. I'd like to give a black hole for every awkward moment that seemed to drag on forever, starting with the opening one, but will hold myself back. 2 black holes. There was a completely irrelevant tangent that added nothing to the movie about Kevin's character interacting with the high fashion world. 1 black hole. What little character development the film had was extremely predictable. 1 black hole. In fact, the whole movie was excruciatingly predictable. 1 black hole. While pretty much all the animals except the gorilla annoyed me, and there's a line you don't say every day, the interaction between the 2 bears actually seemed to cause me physical pain. 1 black hole. Implied and described animal cruelty, which always puts me off. 1 black hole. Joe Rogan bringing whatever momentum the film had to a screeching halt. 1 black hole. And finally, 2 more black holes for just not being as much fun as the movie should have been. Total, 14 black holes. So using my special patented movie critiquing method of subtracting the black holes from the stars, we end up with a total of 8 black holes. A pretty miserable score, but not quite as bad as the score I gave Green Lantern. I can hear some of you asking if it might be being a little unfair to this film, critiquing it as an adult movie when it could possibly just be a kid's film. Well, honestly, that is one of the major issues here. The movie is a romantic comedy with talking animals. It can't really decide if it's going to be a kid's film or an adult film. Some of the dialogue is too sophisticated and adult themed for kids, but a lot of it is just too dumb for grown-ups. It sits right in the middle, which means it will inevitably be regulated to the mediocrity archive of all time. I'm actually curious as to see where video shops, assuming any still exist, end up placing it. Honestly, don't waste your time with this dog unless you're one of those rare individuals who is totally amused by Geico commercials. I did experience something weird while watching this, by the way. For the first time since I started these reviews, I found myself wondering if I'm really qualified to do them. I'm very rarely plagued by self-doubt, but while I was praying for the film to break or a merciful death, most of the audience was laughing their asses off. I worried that maybe I am too out of touch with the general movie-going population, but then I thought about it on the way home and came up with the conclusion that this is an example of cultural Darwinism. If, for example, I were to open a retail store that specialized in left-handed scissors and the like, I would not be too surprised to find out that most of my customers were left-handed. Likewise, if Hollywood sets out to create a film designed to appeal to the idiots of society, then I should not be surprised when I sit in a theater full of idiots. I have found that when I go to the movies on $5 night, the bar seems to be lowered considerably. Odds are this movie will make a disappointingly large amount of money, leading inevitably to the next bad rom-com starring Kevin James with yet another stunningly hot girl. By the way, this is my first review. Thanks, Apple, for teaching me how to do this. I know it's mediocre and pathetic, but I promise it'll get better. If you like this blog and want to read more of my movie reviews, check out TheNerdBlog.com.